Hello friends, welcome back to episode 2, I guess, of this Ladder Diary series that we're doing. And Cyril, I don't know what happens in this game. I just say, hey Cyril, give me a good replay. And he says, yeah, sure, Bayo, I'll give you a good replay. So we do know it is against Showtime, D-Mauer, as this is his ladder account. Sepe is, of course, Cyril. Say that 5 times fast. And all I know is that it is a decently long game, and Cyril says it's fairly good. So that's what we're going to go with. But, you know, to start this, we're going to go on the bottom left in the red. You may know him, D-Mauer. And his illustrious opponent in the upper right in the blue. Well, he just happens to be the greatest of all time. Arguably, I don't even think it's all that arguable. It's Cyril. And I'm curious to see what's happening. Again, as we touched on last week, this is a ladder game. This is a game where both players are not playing for a ton of money. They're not playing for anything more than pride and practice. And of course, there's sweet, sweet ladder points. And yeah, if you are Cyril, that is important against pretty much anyone. I don't know what MMR this D-Mauer account is at, but pretty much anyone. If they play against Cyril, if they win, they get like 70 MMR. And Cyril loses just about the same, regardless of how good they are. Even if he runs into Clem, like it's the amount of MMR that Cyril has managed to build up for himself in the on the European ladder is kind of impressive. And he's just this hoarder of it, this Fort Knox of MMR that he very rarely gives it away. So, you know, that's kind of what players are fighting for. But the point is that, you know, if you or I are playing, like, oh, I mean, I want to hit Masters, I want to hit GM, I want to hit Platinum, whatever it is. Playing weird things or trying things out or doing whatever and playing weird builds often can feel bad because you're like, oh, man, you know, I'm going to lose my 30 MMR. But in this setup, this is practice. This is the prime opportunity for players to do things that they might not otherwise do. Of course, on the flip side, as this is practice, sometimes this just means that you want to spend a lot of time working on what you're really good at. Improving on the standard play, improving on the meta, so that when you do come into the playoffs, when you come into a big event, you're in a better position to deal with that. That being said, it looks like it will be fairly standard in this game right now. Showtime opening it with Stargate, probably into Twilight behind this. We're going to keep an eye on things. And Cyril, hey, third base, as expected, as he just scouts out a little bit, wants to see if he's going to find the Adept on the middle of the map, or ideally the Shade that he can get a surround on, but that's not going to happen. And now, well, Stargate is done. Lings retreat back home to knock the rocks down, because that's very important. And by very important, I mean, it's important so you don't accidentally click it if it's a front defense, but otherwise it doesn't really matter, but it is satisfying. It's like, you know, what psychologists say, or whatever. You know, if you're feeling down, a good way to kind of get out of that funk, theoretically, is to make your bed in the morning, because at the very least, there's one thing you've done that day. You know, there's one thing you've been successful with, which sounds kind of depressing when you think about it like that. But hey, it's that, I guess, that mind game of, you know, I've done one good thing today. I've been successful in one endeavor, so I'm going to be okay. Like, my life is, at least I got that going for me. Regardless of how this game goes, at least I killed the rocks in my natural. At least I made it possible that if the creep goes away, I could get bunker rushed. You know, if this was 5 years ago, as long as you're going to go in. And by the way, this is one of the things that Cyril is the most adept at. I mean, he's not these adepts, but Cyril is so good at making sure he knows exactly what is happening at any given time. Whether his opponent's expanding, what timing he's expanding. And this is a come on, let me scroll. This is a 3:30 expand coming out of Showtime with 2 oracles. And notice he kept the first oracle home. He didn't run out with it. He wants to make sure that his third base was absolutely safe. Now, he knows that this is Cyril playing, by the way. It's not like Cyril's playing under a barcode where things are not known. I mean, Sepe is Cyril. Is now the oracles. They're going to try to dive into the match. Well, they're going to get a couple workers there. 3. Looks like it's going to be 3 in total. And, well, that's a heavy damage on that first oracle, though. But where it gets valuable, and this is actually something Showtime was talking about before Katowice, where you start to get some real damage is when you kind of dive in with the Adepts and dive in with Oracles at the same time. The Oracles are not quite there. Adepts are going to cut a couple workers, but the Lings and the Queens, they're going to surround them, and they're going to kill them off. So that's going to be that. 5 total workers, but it's 2 Adepts, and I don't really think that was worthwhile, especially considering it was literally 2 workers that the Adepts killed right there. And I guess you count Lings, but not really. Anyways, Oracles for now, they're going to split up a little bit. One, where did it go? One went home, I believe. Meanwhile, the healthy one tries to fly into the main base to get a little more. And the thing we should point out right now is that there are only 2 Oracles made, as Lings are going to get a drone. So what this means is, actually, we can see this in the builder tab right now, is that is a lot of gas that has been saved. And yes, losing Adepts is not great, but even still, a lot of gas has been saved by Showtime in this game. And where's he putting that? Well, he's moving into Quick Tech. He got the Twilight and the Robo as expected, but this is going to be for Charge, not for Blink. And there's going to be, well, there's a Templar Archives on the way. So this is going to be a Charge Lot Archon timing, or at least Charge Lot Archon in the tech path. And seeing the fact that the Warp Prism is on the way, this will be a Charge Lot Archon timing. So right around 6:30 to 7 minutes, maybe 7:15, the charge will be done. There's going to be probably about 4 Archons. And Showtime's going to look to move out of the map and maybe try to punish Serral for what he's done, for any sort of greed that Serral has. But Serral does have a Roachborn. He hasn't done anything with it just yet, but he has made it. And that will allow him, and say, there we go, there are roaches on the way, that he should be in a somewhat decent position to handle this. But for now, really just trading some Lings out again, making sure he has excellent vision of what's happening on the third base. Look, he's just going to see the Warp Prism. He's going to see more Zealous warping, and he's going to cancel a Shield Battery, try to find his way into a mineral line, but Shield Battery's going to heal that one up for now. But Serral, how many roaches does he have? He's got 6. He's got 9 more on the way. Queen should be at the front. So this initial push, I don't know how successful it's going to be. Now, it is going to get a Overlord, and that's nice. Serral is actually going to find himself supply blocked up. This needs to build some more Overlords there. And that does unlock the pressure a little bit. More roaches on the way. Zealots run for it. They're going to get... Actually, that's going to be transfused. The roach won't die just yet here. But the Archons, they're getting sweet shots on the roaches. The drones have to pull away to make sure that they don't go down too badly. But even still, Serral's going to be able to hold on to this. One Archon's going to go down. Showtime saves the second. But that first foray doesn't work out incredibly well. Meanwhile, Oracle's in the main. I don't think they got all that much done. 9 total drones have died this game. 4 in the last little bit of pressure. Maybe it was the Oracles. Yeah, it looks like it was. Maybe like an Archon Splash something before the drones pulled away properly. But regardless, Serral holds on. He survives the supply block that happened. This was pressure. When we talk about timings, yes, that is a timing that Demour could use to end the game. That is absolutely something where he could go and catch Serral off guard, and especially with a supply block, maybe Serral's not ready. But because Serral is Serral, and he had Lings in the third base of Showtime pretty much all the time, he had scouted pretty much the entirety of the main base. He knew everything that was happening. You know that it's not going to be all that bad. Serral is going to be prepared to deal with it, and that just means, hey, you get some damage. You distract Serral. Oracles dive in the main. They get some drone kills. The interesting thing here is Serral is responding with a Spire. And that makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Oh, Demour. He's going to get the 5th base there. Oracles, they do a lot of damage, and if they have the energy for it, yeah, you can force a cancel on a base fairly easily. But anyways, Serral, as a response to this pressure, understands that Blink is not going to be done. No energy was spent, or no gas was spent on Phoenix. So going Spire makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately, Showtime is just about as good at scouting as Serral is. So any sort of mutaplay is not going to be quite as powerful as it might otherwise be, because again, Blink is getting chronoed out, or I assume it was. It's almost done anyways. Phoenix are getting made. Showtime should be well prepared to deal with any sort of mutaplay. He's also really well defended on the ground, by the way. He's double Robo Disruptor play. So anything that Serral does not have an easy tech counter to go for. It's not like, yes, you only have charged lots and Archons. I'm going to build a bunch of mutas and take down everything you cold deer. It's not, oh, well, you have a bunch of stalkers. I'm going to build a bunch of cracklings. It's charge lot, disruptor, Archon, muta, Phoenix. So the counter in part is not having enough of the right thing. But Showtime's army is rapidly becoming pretty powerful here. He's got, what is that, 6 disruptors probably, 5 disruptors, Immortals out now, 2x2, and more Phoenix getting made, Archons as well. This is the type of army that Serral has that needs Vipers. He needs something in the air that can adequately deal with this tech that's on the ground, and for that to happen, he needs to buy time, because, well, Showtime is approaching maxing out. He's moving out on the map, trying to find something here. Now the Lings are going to run in. Bailey's are going to get some great connections on those Zealots. but it's the meat of this army. It's the potatoes of this army where life starts to get pretty complicated, but now there are no force fields. Disruptors are not going to get these shots they need. Banelings get on top of all of them. And at the end of the day, all the tech, well, at least a good majority of the tech here from Showtime is going to get knocked out, but that disruptor shot on the backside, that does a lot to equalize. Meanwhile, Phoenix are just lifting what they can, and I said, well, hey, everything gets wiped out, and Serral had a great start to that fight, but Disruptors at the end made life a little bit more complicated. Now a ton of Zealots are going to run in, forcing Serral back, and there's a dead Disruptor, or dead Roach, but that's a dead Immortal too, so I think you take that trade if you are the King of the North, and Serral will. So he forces his opponent back, and now Corruptor's made with the express intention of killing off Nexus, or, you know, being a Greater Spire, building Broodlords. But I do like this transition from Serral. He knocks down a lot of the tech of his opponent. He understands that, well, this is going to be Charge-Lot Archon Disruptor, maybe less Stalkers, because it's just, you know, actually Stalkers make a lot of sense here. But I guess the gas for Showtime is maybe lacking a little bit. So you move on, you wipe out the tech once again, as these Disruptors are going to not get anything. You wipe out the tech once again, and then you just hit with 6 Broodlords. 8 Broodlords, something like that, with the newly buffed, newly faster Broodlords. But now, Banelings are going to try to find their way in. Disruptors on the Roaches on the backside. That's not going to get much of anything. And Serral comes crashing in. The Oracle's trying to be the savior of things. Well, Corruptors. They were made for Broodlords. They were made to maybe snipe a Nexus, but instead they're going to kill the Oracles and allow Serral to take a much more cost-effective fight. As now Phoenix are going to try to lift up some of the Ravagers as they can, and the shots are actually fairly nice. So Serral has to run back once again. But the Corruptors, they're going to try to kill this base. Stalker's Warp and those shield battery returns makes that not happen. Meanwhile, at the front here, Serral's having to hold on pretty desperately. The Archons, they move forward. Tons of Lings go down. Stalkers get a Queen as well. And these Corruptors, they get shot down. Now we're looking at 3 Corruptors on the map, and you want more than 3 Broodlords if you want to play this game. But of course, if your opponent's active on the middle of the map, might as well go for a run by. Unfortunately, if you are a Serral fan, Showtime was well aware of things, but now Banelings are going to try to run on anyways, and they don't get much. 6 total probes have died this game as Serral tries to leverage that aggression once again onto this prospective 5th, but, well, still a lot of Archons there. Disruptors, not really, though, so the Banelings are going to be less impactful than they might otherwise be. At this point, you kind of want Lings, but now the Zealots are going to get warped. In second rounds, Banelings are going to find them, but Serral just wants to run away. Because his tech is not there yet. He's got 2-1 on the way. It's not here. And it's kind of a bit of an anti-timing. Showtime's got +3. He's going to have +1 shields pretty quickly. And he continues to withstand the aggression of Serral. I mean, people call him Demour. They call him the Wall for a reason. That's pretty evident here that he's just not taking the damage that Serral intends to inflict. But now, more Lings this time. It's not going to be Banes. Lings, they're able to find their way through walls that Banelings maybe are not able to do so. And these are effectively +4 Lings. You know, they got cracked. They kill things pretty damn quickly. Even with the Warpins here, the Zealots are struggling to deal with him. So it's going to force the army of Demour, the army of Showtime, back home. But of course, the longer this goes, the stronger he gets. +2 shields on the way, maxing out. And remember, his max out is going to be more powerful than the max out of Serral, for the most part. He's only on 80 workers instead of 92. I say only 80 workers. But again, his economy's a little smaller, so his army's going to be a little bit bigger. Here's the Broodlords are being forced away by 2 Phoenix. The Queens are going to have to deal with that one. Transfuse the Broodlord, please. But Serral's fighting at the front, and he's actually going to push through pretty nicely here. Banelings get great connections. Yeah, they're not great against Stalkers, but if you hit him right in the clump, if the Stalkers blink on top of him, well, Serral is not going to complain about that one. Meanwhile, massive counterattack on the north side. Zealots and Archons are going to get a base, and this is rapidly turning into a base trade, which they say don't base trade a Zerg, but that's when there are mutas. That's when there are more Lings on the map than Serral has. But the Archons are going to try to find their way into a corner. They will get knocked down. These are cracklings. Another Archon falls, 1 escapes, but 2 bases. 2 hatches have gone down. Demour trades 1 for 2, and he gets the Broodlords. Or I guess he doesn't get the Broodlords. I thought he did, but and he gets a bunch of Archons on the retreat. This is pretty good. I mean, oh no. Getting 2 hatches is nice. The supply, it does not in fact lie. Showtime was doing a great job of keeping his supply up there, but because his economy is not as big as Serral's was, he's not really able to establish the bank that he would like. So losing that 5th base is a little bit more harmful. As Serral now supply blocked late into this game as he loses more and more bases and more overlords. So he's gonna have to rebuild that one. Showtime struggling to take this forward base. Kind of makes you wonder whether it might make a little more sense for Showtime to take a slightly more defensible position. This is pretty wide open. But I guess what this does is it means Showtime can kind of attack through that area as well, and it clusters he's expanded in the middle and the bottom, so expanding up here means there are just more positions he has to defend against. It's kind of how that gets awkward, but he's gonna have to cancel that anyways. It's on the low ground. Broodlords, only 3 of them, but they're still powerful enough, especially with +2 once the Broodlings land. Well, it's just difficult, intensely difficult for Showtime to defend. So once again, he goes for a counterattack, tries to get another base of Serals, and well, is he going to be able to get it? Lings now, a couple of them go down to the Archons. As Showtime approaching max out once again, but he's got to be careful. He doesn't want to just face tank a bunch of Banelings with things that are not his Archons, so now he's got to run back a little bit. Archons out in the open here. Lings are going to find a surround, and yes, Archons are good against them, but not when they're surrounded. They want to put themselves in a corner. Meanwhile, Zealots find their way into the other side, but Serral's going to knock every single one of them down. And Showtime is starting to reel here. He had a good move. The base trade was nice, but... Or I guess the counterattack was nice, but losing most of his Archons and all of his Zealots for the cost of 2 hatches and realistically, not a ton of drones. Well, it is really starting to show in the economy here. Although, as I say that, Serral is broke. He has a ton of money. He's building 3,000 minerals at a time, but he's only on 81 drones now, and he does not have the bank that he's looking for. So the Lings do not want to take this fight. We talked about how Lings, especially with 3-2 in crack, they can take fights against Archons. They do that when they surround the Archons. When the Archons are sitting there behind a wall of Stalkers or Zealots or whatever. Yeah, no. You don't want to take that. That is, I don't even want to know what's that. It feels bad. I don't even want to know what that's like. But now, Zealots are going to get warped in defensively. They're just going to get surrounded and killed, and Serral's found another base of Showtime. Banelings are going to make this very hard to fight against. More and more Zealots are going to get warped in. And you know how Serral's spending his gas because, oh man, he's got a ton of it. 10 Infestors. He's got Neural on the way. This army, we were talking about how Vipers were kind of what you wanted as Serral has his base killed, not canceled. We were talking earlier about how Serral really wants Vipers. You know, Vipers are the answer to a heavy tech army of the Protoss, tons of Immortals and Disruptors and things. Well, Neural can be a similar answer, except you can use your opponent's army against them. Now, of course, Infestors are very flimsy. 70 HP and armor means they do not live very long, but if you can Neural all the Archons, ooh, buddy. That's a fun time. And Burrow is done, so these Infestors are going to be able to hide themselves as Showtime tries to wedge his way in. Bunches of Zealots behind. Banelings maybe try to trigger that fight, but now Serral, he's got the Infestors all forward. Neural them all! He's going to get all the Archons, or at least so many of them, and the rest of them, well, that's a pretty easy fight to take here as the Archons are splashing themselves, each other. Zealots from the backside, though, they're going to try to get on top of the Infestors, but the Banelings, they knock them down. And now, well, the friendly fire. Archons are going to kill Archons. The Serral's going to kill everything here. And, well, it's a long, drawn-out fight. That is probably going to do it. One Archon in the corner is going to eat every single Bane, and, well, that's expensive. But Archons, actually, they're starting to go down. The splash damage on the Roaches means a lot of these Infestors will fall, and Showtime holds on better than I expected. I mean, that was every single Archon Neural, but I think Serral made the mistake of not actually attacking his now friendly Archons, which has been unfortunate. Now, Archons getting hot pickup, but they have so little energy. One fungal just absolutely ends them. So they're going to try to get on top, and the Infestors are sitting here. Archon staying alive. Meanwhile, Archons the backside, they're a much tankier. One Archon will fall on the north side, and Showtime is making a game of this. But it feels like at this point, the momentum is just too strongly in Serral's favor. Banelings are just going to slowly run in, and no, that's an entirely dead mineral line. So Showtime, he's lost his one true mining base. I guess he kind of got the fourth, but it's only on 4 mineral patches, only 8 workers mining. So Serral slowly rallying in now. More and more Lings, more and more Roaches. He's got a ton of gas that he doesn't quite know how to spend, but the Infestors did everything they had to do, and Serral plays a banger of a game. 10 Infestors to Archon, or to Neural 10 Archons is that's a fun way to end a game. But folks, if you like what I do here, I stream every Monday, EPT North America, 7 p.m. Eastern, every Thursday into Friday morning, Korean Star League, Korean Star League, every Saturday, EPT Korea, both 11 p.m. Eastern, WTL when it starts up. You can check that out at twitch.tv/Beowulf, and you got to the end of this video. So you might as well subscribe, right? I put up videos 6 days a week. Catch you next time.